23 leaders of the LA-based Church of Scientology are still in custody in Spain tonight. 9 of them ordered to jail on charges of swindling Spaniards out of money they paid for drug rehabilitation. Jane Wells talked to Scientologists in Hollywood tonight as they try to get information about their jailed leader.
This is Alexander Jentz, and he is here with me tonight because his father is not here. His father is in a jail in Madrid, Spain.
What is an SP?
A suppressive person, somebody who's opposed to the Church of Scientology.
Is it the teachings of the Church of Scientology that a member disconnect from an SP?
If you are a PTS, potential trouble source, that means you're connected to a suppressive person, and you must disconnect from the suppressive person in order to continue in Scientology.
Is a non-believer in Scientology a suppressive person?
Well, yes and no. See, it depends if you're actually attacking Scientology or not. For instance, if I didn't believe in Scientology but I kept my mouth shut, they probably wouldn't be concerned about me being a suppressive person.
71 church members were arrested Saturday at a meeting as police investigate them for fraud, extortion, and tax evasion.
We stand for religious liberty. We stand for those freedoms.
But when I go out and start speaking against them, I am certainly a suppressive person.
Get the fuck out of here! Right now, just get the fuck out of here! Take your goddamn time to get the fuck out! Right in my fucking face!
I'm not. Why are you
right
kicking me?
Fucking bothering.
Yeah, well, guess what? Some shit with me.
Get a picture! Against my fucking will. They might as well be paparazzi.
Released a statement saying the protesting group is, quote, perpetrating religious hate crimes against churches of Scientology.
If you ever had an opportunity to listen to a tape.
This is a tape called Can We Ever Be Friends?
A casual tour of some modern schools or universities can make the observer wonder why any decent child or person would consent to stay in one today. Teachers and security guards beaten and killed. Students glaze-eyed with drugs draped across doorways and desks. It can be a desperate arena. And the subjects taught are often not subjects anymore, but confusions. Reading, writing, and arithmetic seem to have become perplexity, illiteracy, and mystification. In the war-mad days of 19th century Germany, the psychologists spawned the technology of degrading all men to animals. He is in charge of your schools today. It is compulsory training in every grade and teacher level to regard all students and friends as treacherous beasts and atheists.
I'm just going to read you a few statements. You don't have to actually believe them, but if you could believe them, just give us a yes. Okay? Scientology lets you attain several different states of existence in just one lifetime.
No.
Could? You could believe that?
I could believe that.
Okay.
I wouldn't
You don't have to believe it now. Do you think you're capable of believing this?
Oh, look, I could believe anything.
Yeah, okay.
Give me a couple of drinks.
That's what we're looking for. No, with intensive therapy, some courses, maybe a few donations.
Maybe, I suppose,
Possibly.
if I had enough invested in it,
Okay.
yeah, maybe.
All right, well, you will have enough invested in it. No.
Most have been released, but not Jentz, a former actor who's been with the church 25 years.
Who counseled Nicole Kidman.
There's John, Juliet, Jenna, and Jason, Kirsty, Leah, and Sophia. Not the king, but his wife and daughter, Beck and Bart.
Is this a book report or a witch hunt?
Well, the actor's doing his voice.
Says she was brainwashed and under their control. Bruce Hines was a Scientologist for 30 years and rose through the ranks to become a counselor to celebrities.
I was trusted to audit certain people. Those included Nicole Kidman, of course, Kirstie Alley. I was involved in other ways with Tom Cruise and John Travolta and Lisa Marie Presley.
She was under control. She was brainwashed to even be going through that process. Is that fair to say? The information she gave out while being audited in the Church of Scientology is being used to blackmail her. Is this plausible? Is this possible? How does this, what do you make of these claims?
The nature of auditing is such that you're encouraged to reveal all of your deep, dark secrets and things that may be incriminating or embarrassing. And these things are all written down, and these files are kept permanently.
Tom Cruise swatted with a newspaper, in this case, the Wall Street Journal, as he announced his Paramount Pictures division was giving Cruise's production company the boot. After a stretch in which he jumped on Oprah's couch, widely proclaimed his love for fiancée Katie Holmes, and also engaged in a verbal battle with NBC's Matt Lauer over Scientology and psychiatry.
This was not against her will, though. But this wasn't against Brooke's will.
But now that Mr. Cruise is in Germany to film a movie about the Nazi corporal who tried to assassinate Adolf Hitler, our number one story in the countdown, a blunt answer from the German Protestant Church. Scientology is a, quote, totalitarian organization.
We believe Scientology is not in line with our constitution, and there is evidence of criminal behavior, Berlin's interior senator says.
And people really are prisoners. Scientology will say that people go voluntary. Absolutely not.
Of course, Scientology does not call them prison camps. They call it the Rehabilitation Project Force. The prison laborers are re-educated and made tractable by hard labor, compulsory hypnosis and brainwashing.
They criticize members of the younger generations who draw aside from the beast to attack it in the flank and try to civilize the monster their betters supported and helped create.
We'd rather have you dead than incapable. We're not playing some minor game in Scientology. It isn't cute or something to do for lack of something better. HCO Policy Letter, February 7, 1965.
A government report quotes what it says are confidential Scientology memos saying, to put our planetary salvation campaign into action, we must reach the highest levels of the German government. How dangerous is the Cruise cult? Germany's largest paper asks.
Germans, I think, are better able to recognize a totalitarian organization because of their history.
Scientologists say it's nothing but religious persecution.
They're perpetuating hate crimes against the church.
The freedom of religion.
A hate crime.
Group of religious bigots.
Hate speech intended to incite violence.
Rating religious hate crimes.
Religious hate crimes.
Religious hate crimes.
Religious bigots.
Religious bigotry. Some former members say the reality is much more sinister. Hannah Eltringham says she was put in a virtual prison camp for a year when the church perceived she had evil intentions.
We had to run everywhere we went. We had to run, whether it was carrying pails of sand or concrete up 10 flights of steps for building purposes. We had to run.
Jenna claims she received little schooling, was brought up with other Scientology kids, but was rarely allowed to see her parents.
When I was 12, I then moved to Florida to be, in the core of the church, and I only saw them once a year if I was lucky.
Were you allowed to have contact with your parents as a member?
The contact became more and more controlled to the point where every time I called my parents, there would be a Scientologist sitting next to me, coaching me and listening to the conversation and coaching me on what to say.
Why would they do that, if you know?
Well, I believe they were afraid that if I spoke to my parents might convince me to leave Scientology. That if I was allowed to freely communicate with them, that's what would happen.
When did you eventually leave Scientology?
My parents arranged, when or how?
When?
When? In April of 1990.
How?
My parents arranged what is called an exit counseling, in which former members of the group, former Scientologists, who are also psychologists and cult experts, sat me down and spoke to me and showed me information about Scientology and tried to get me to think about things in a way that I wasn't allowed to think about them before. That process failed, and I left the exit counseling and went back to the church. And when I got back there, the cult leaders decided to kick me out, and they sent me home.